You can have your sermon prepared Monday. You can have your sermon prepared Tuesday, Thursday. But when tragedy strikes, you got to find words. It always seems like words are the hardest things to find. To find ways to speak truth and hope in the midst of crushing heartache. To speak new life and the goodness into a reality of brokenness and despair. Brothers and sisters, I stand up here shocked, stunned, in disbelief, just like you all. I've been searching, Bethany can tell you, for the right words since, I don't know, probably yesterday at about 10. So I can comfort, so I can give you the hope, so I can answer the whys and the hows. But I don't know. I don't understand. We don't know. We don't know why. We don't know how. We don't know what was going on or what is going on. But sometimes you're fortunate enough that the lectionary that you've been preparing all week with has the truth. The honest, beautiful truth right in it for you. It just so happens our scripture today reminds us that God so loved the world that He gave His only Son, so we may live now and beyond now. Brothers and sisters, that's the truth we stand in. That's the God's honest truth that we are given every single day. That we can live fully now and beyond now. That we may be a whole people, self and community. That we may be able to walk together with our brothers and sisters even in the darkest of moments, in the most broken of times. That we can be open and acknowledging, that we can speak honestly to one another. The sermon series, the Heart to Hearts is the sermon series, and today was Hush, Hush. Right? We find Nicodemus. He doesn't come to Jesus in the broad daylight. He doesn't run up to Jesus. Right? Everybody else runs up to Jesus in the daylight and says, Jesus! Or they sneak through the crowd and they grab the hem of his garment trying to be healed. Or they run up and say, my daughter, she's dying. In the midst of a giant crowd. But Nicodemus comes in the darkest of night while Jesus is by himself. He sneaks in and he says, we know that you're a teacher from God, Rabbi. Because only one could do these signs, these incredible things, if there's from God. But he comes in the dark of night. He's intrigued by Jesus. He wants to know Jesus. He wants to experience these things for himself. But he has to do it in the dark of night because he's a Pharisee. He doesn't dare stretch his limits too far. He doesn't dare be seen. Hidden. In the dark, they debate. Dialogue, what it means to be born. Born again. To be born from above. To be different. To have the Spirit in them. I'm so intrigued by Nicodemus coming in the dark. About the things that we try to keep quiet, the things that we try to hide. The quippy thing I want to tell you is it's like being a Nebraska fan living outside of Iowa City, but you all know I fly my flag. Ask Dale, I had that Nebraska watch on the first time we met. I didn't care. Kurt tried to buy it from me. Get me a new one, by the way. The quippy thing is that, right? We want to hide that little piece of us. We don't want to be outed for the team affiliation we have or whatever it may be. But it's bigger. It's bigger than that. The skeletons, the deep wounds, the struggles, the anxieties, the depression, things that dwell in the darkest of night. They grow darker and bigger when we keep them in there and we hide them away and we don't show them a little bit to the light, because when the light shines upon them, it will push them back. Because John tells us in the first portion, Jesus is the light of the world. And that light that pushes the darkness back, that light that drives the hopelessness away, is the same light that opened his arms on the cross and gave life for us and to us. So we try to keep those things hushed, hushed. We try to keep them quiet and hidden because we don't want to be embarrassed. We don't want to feel the shame and the guilt. We don't know what someone's going to use against us. Brothers and sisters, my personality type is often thinking that just about everybody's out to get me. Kid you not. That's a thing I got to fight every single day of my life. What are you going to use against me? If I open up and I tell you about an addiction or a struggle or I just can't believe today, you going to use it against me? It's a demon I fight every day, and I understand if you fight it too and you want to keep it hush-hush. You want to keep it quiet, but brothers and sisters, there are days that I put 2 feet on the floor. I come into this office and I pray, and yet it's hard. It's hard because I think I don't deserve it. I darn well know that I'm not worthy of it. It's hard. There are days that putting 2 feet on the floor are hard. And the darkness wants to set in. We cannot heal what is never acknowledged. We cannot heal what is never acknowledged. I believe we have to function outside of the darkness and the sneaking and the hush and the quiet, those moments where we keep them in. I believe that our faith and our lives are supposed to be lived out in much ways like an AA meeting, an Al-Anon meeting, a Narcotics Anonymous. You know what they do? Has anybody ever been to one? You don't have to raise your hands, but if you have, think about it. Dan. And here is my life laid bare, my struggles laid bare for strangers, for friends. What if we were more willing to come in the daylight and speak our truths? Where would we be? What if we were more willing to be authentic and raw and honest and open, just like Jesus calls us to be, just like Jesus was? I'm sorry you don't go into the temple and start flipping over tables because you're passive or you're not raw. Man, I think at the end of the day, his anger was heartbroken. What if we spoke those pieces into the light so that the light could push them back? It doesn't have to be a whole group of people that we speak these truths to. We speak our struggles to, our addictions, our fights, our failures, our broken pieces. Because they're not our truth. Our truth is the light. Our truth is that our God loved us so much that he gave his very life for us so that the light could pour into us. But if we hold these things quietly in the dark, that's when they become truth. We let them become reality. But it takes a community. It takes a group who's all committed to the exact same thing. This truth of that the light came into the world, that God so loved each and every one of us. Brothers and sisters, I love Nicodemus. He may come in the night, but you know what he does? He comes. He puts 2 feet on the ground and he wanders to Jesus, and he might be scared and he might be hiding, but he gets up and he goes. So start there. Tell him to God. God's not going to judge you. I'm not going to judge you. Because we all have them. Those struggles and those fears and those failures. Speak them to God like Nicodemus. And if it's in the night, at first speak them to God. And then we can slowly together creep them into the light, and we can be a full community of faithful people where the light shines on the darknesses, and the darkness will not overcome it. We don't get John 3:16 without John 1. Because that light comes to the world. Go back to Father Richard Rohr. He says, the church, as Jesus seems to be defining it, is the gathering of accepted brokenness. It is not the gathering to be saved. Gathering of accepted brokenness. We are a community modeled as though the arms first open to us, stretched out wide for each of us. So to take us all in, to take our stuff, to take every bit of us. I sat with Jean Austin's a family on Friday, and Marilyn, her daughter-in-law, said, you know, we sang Just As I Am at church on Sunday. If I'd known this is where I was going, I told you to sing Just As I Am. Just as I am, without one plea. Every bit of it. Honest. Being born from above. To live a daylight life where it's not hidden in the shade of night, where it's open. Full of trust. Because we trust in the fact that God so loved each and every one of us just the way we are. That He gave everything. I want to finish with this story because it's in his novel, The End of the Land, Israeli novelist David Grossman tells the story of 2 brothers growing up in Israel in recent years. The older brother Adam is 13 years old. And he begins to exhibit signs of compulsive behavior, of OCD. He washes his hand after he touches any object at all. He goes through elaborate rituals of speech and action before he can move from one room to another. He stops in the midst of what he is doing to count his fingers or blink his eyes a designated number of times before he can continue on. His distraught parents have read every book. I've taken him to every specialist, and nothing helps. But then one day, his little brother Ofer, who happens to be 9 years old, takes charge. And he says, Adam, let me do the eye thing today. Okay, I'll do that for you. And Adam very reluctantly says, okay, Ofer, you can do the eye thing today. So Adam, going through his other compulsions, not able to live a full life, hidden behind closed doors because he can't function. Ofer, his little brother, takes on the eyes and blinks the counted time so that they can leave a room. In the coming days, Ofer says, can I do the finger counting thing too? Okay, I'm going to do that today. Adam says, okay, you can do the finger counting thing too. So Ofer counts his fingers, and they can leave the room. Day by day, another compulsion Ofer takes from his brother. And another one, until we get to the hand washing, and Ofer is washing his hands as much and as hard that would serve for the both of them. A few years later, the boy's mother says this. They played computer games and football, chattered for hours, made up characters, and every once in a while they cooked pasta together. And then their mother says, and while they did all that, don't ask me exactly how it happened, but one of them saved the other. one of them saved the other. Listen, brothers and sisters, while we're doing all the things that we do, while we're creeping in the darkest hours and we're hiding away, one of us, saved all of us. He took all of our stuff upon us and He set each of us free. John says it like this: "For God so loved the world that He gave His only Son." Brothers and sisters, while we slink in the dark places, the light saved each of us.